Some just got Aunt May's box of postcards and throw them out there. Have no idea what to do with them. And they're just pricing all over the place. Welcome to SMPostcards. Today's video, I have a little agenda right here. I'm going to go through what's sold on eBay just to show you the cards, talk a little bit about what I sold overnight. Sold 12 cards, shouldn't take too long. Got a couple multiple purchases we'll go through real quick. And then we're going to get into a deep dive. It was called Special Topic, but I decided to change the name to Deep Dive. That's basically what we're doing. We're diving deeper into certain postcards. I thought it was a better name. Leap Year Postcards. What is leap year? We're going to get into that and talk about those cards. I bought a lot of those at an auction and I put them up and they didn't do as well as I thought. They're higher priced, but they didn't jump off the shelves. But we'll talk about it, get some data, see the sell-through rate, and a little history about leap year. And instead of doing a poll, I'm going to talk about the pros and cons of comping prices for postcards. Comparative pricing. There's some pros and there's some cons, I think, of doing that and race to the bottom and stuff like that. So we're going to go through those pros and cons and talk a little bit about that right after the deep dive of the Leap Year Postcards. And then I got some viewer comments at the end of the video. Always want to stick around for those. But let's go ahead and get into what sold. Sold 12 cards. Sales have been still up and down. There's really not a trend going on. And I still try to just stay above the average. It's whatever comes in. I'm not trying to force people to buy my stuff, throwing sales on, coupons, worried about it. By the end of the month, it always works out. It always has for the years I've done this. But the first card I sold, let's see here, is a white border card, The Bridge Over Lackawaxen River, Bayabo Pike Company, Pennsylvania. I'm going to put that in the bottom down here. I think I screwed that up pretty good. But it's a bridge with some people on it. It's a white border card. There's the bridge, and that's the name. But I'll go ahead and put it in the bottom. I probably screwed that up pretty good. But it's in Pike County, Pennsylvania. And that's sold for $4.75. Next one's a Topper Motel. This has got a Volkswagen Bug. It looks like a older Chevy or something right there, car. And it's in Eureka, California. And that is a chrome card, sold for $4.75. Probably could have bumped that up a little bit, but you got to throw a bone to the people once in a while. Next one is one of the NASA cards. This is the Gemini spacecraft. Vertical card up and down, unposted chrome card. Sold for $4.75. Next one sold for $8.65. Picked this up when we went out to Broomfield, Massachusetts to that big flea market. And this is the grammar school in Palmer, Massachusetts. Now Palmer is the town that we stayed in all week. And the Airbnb there is where we stayed, and picked up some postcards. And this is the grammar school in Palmer, Massachusetts in 1906, I think it says. It's an undivided back, posted. And that sold for $8.65. Next one sold for $5.08. I must have sent an offer. This is Jedediah Huntington's house. I think it's a Civil War thing. 1909, divided back. Posted. Sold for $5.08. Next person bought 3 cards for a total of $14.25. Now 2 cards and 1 photo. This is the photo of Stockholm, DD 683 is a photo. It's not a postcard, so that's a photo. Then he got the Stockholm DD 683. This is one of those prints on the lighter cardstock. This is the last one I have, and got that one. And then this is the Bordellen DD 881 on the same type of print, the lighter cardstock. So he got 3 Navy ships, 2 cards, and a photo for $14.25. Next is a map card of Lake Superior Circle Route. It's a nice little map card. Chrome card, $4.75. Next person bought 2 cards for $9.50. First one is Gibbon Falls 84-foot Yellowstone Park. I don't think it's this a Haynes? Yeah, this is a Haynes right there. Yellowstone was it Gibbon Falls, unposted. And then this one, Yellowstone Park Haynes photo, couple insets of the Fountain Hotel and the Paint Pots Lower Basin. Vertical card, 2 insets. It's a Haynes card, and that's sold there. So both of those cards sold for $9.50. And the last card is the Connecticut Mutual Life Insurance Company, Hartford, Connecticut. Nice picture there. Maybe they work there, they know where it is, they built it, they did the plumbing in there. You never know when people buy the cards. And that sold for $4.75. So basically I had 12 cards sold overnight. Total dollars, $84.95. ASP, if I take the $84.95 divided by 12, gives me a $7.08 average sale price. Now my goals this year was to sell $80. I did that today. I want to sell 16 cards a day average for the year. Not every day, I'm not going to do that. I only sold 12, so I'm down 4. ASP is still moving up, but it's kind of staying steady with the summer and stuff like that. And I want to be very picky about what I buy. And I really haven't bought any postcards except at an auction and stuff. I bought like 1,000 cards for pennies. I think I got it for 30 bucks. Sometimes, and then the next auction, the next week, it's my local auction house, they were going a lot more, so I couldn't really pick any. It went out of my range for those types of cards. But that auction, I put it in bid. I was expecting to pay a little bit more. I think $20, $30, I think I picked up 1,000 postcards. Usually when you get a lot of cards like 1,000, figure 10-20% are just going to be garbage or damaged or just not sellable, or you just don't want to do anything with them. So basically if you buy 1,000 cards, I figure 800 cards in my head. And if I get them for 10 cents a card, 15 cents a card, 5 cents a card, around there. Sometimes I pay up, depends what's in the lot. I've paid as much as $1 per card because there was some good stuff in there because I wanted some of the cards that were in there. But if out of 800 cards I got, spent say $30, I sell 6, 7, 8 cards out of that lot. It pays for itself. Now they're going to sell overnight? No. So you just buy lots, put them up, buy lots, put them up, and you have them in different selling cycles, and they'll sell. But that's what's sold today. Now let's get into the deep dive leap year postcards. Got a little history on leap year that I'm going to talk about, and while I do that, I'm going to show you some of the leap year postcards I found out there. These are just taken off different sites, mostly eBay and stuff, just to give you an idea of what to look for, because some people haven't seen leap year cards, or some are specialists in it, stuff like that. But I wanted to learn a little bit more about this holiday. I guess it's a holiday. It's leap year. So I'm going to talk about it, show you the postcards. Here we go. Long, long ago, people noticed something tricky about time. Even though they had calendars to help them keep track of the days, the seasons didn't always match up perfectly. This caused problems with things like planting crops and celebrating festivals at the right time. To fix this, the ancient Romans came up with a clever idea, adding an extra day to the calendar every 4 years. They called this special day a leap day. And the year it happened, it was called a leap year. So you got leap day, leap year. The idea of leap years stuck around through history, and Julius Caesar, a famous Roman leader, decided to make it official in 45 BCE. I'm not for sure what BCE is. I know what BC and AD is. First time I've seen BCE. He introduced the Julian calendar, which included leap years. By adding the extra day every 4 years, Caesar hoped to keep the calendar in line with the Earth's journey around the sun. This adjustment helped make sure that the important events like religious holidays, planting seasons, happened at the right time. Today, we still use leap years to keep our calendars accurate, but we made a few tweaks along the way. Our modern calendar, called the Georgian calendar, is a bit more precise than Caesar's. Instead of having a leap year every 4 years without fail, we skip leap years on century years, like 1700, 1800, and 1900. Unless they're divisible by 400, like 2000. Yeah, like I can remember this. This small adjustment helps us to stay even closer to the actual length of the year, which is about 365.24 days. A lot of math here, guys. So thanks to the clever ideas of people from long ago, we get to enjoy an extra day every 4 years on February 29th. Leap year postcards have a detailed history dating back to the late 19th and 20th centuries. During this time, it became popular tradition for women to propose marriage to men on leap day of the leap year, February 29th, challenging traditional gender roles. Usually the men ask the women, so now the women are after men. To commemorate this unique occasion, postcard publishers began producing leap year postcards featuring humorous and playful illustrations of women proposing to men. And you're seeing that in some of the pictures. These postcards often incorporate humorous slogans and witty remarks, reflecting the social dynamics of the era. Leap year postcards became a cherished part of leap day traditions, serving as both light-hearted tokens of affection and symbols of empowerment for women asserting their agency in matters of love and marriage. Through the tradition of sending leap year postcards has waned over time, they remain a charming relic of a bygone era, capturing the spirit of leap day celebrations and involving attitudes toward gender roles and relationships. I got one fact here. People born on February 29th are sometimes called leaplings or leapers. Not leopards, like that other disease they had back then. It's leapings, leaplings, or leapers. A person born on February 29th typically only gets to celebrate their real birthday every 4 years. Explain that to a kid, a 2-year-old or a 5-year-old. A lot of math in leap year, the reason they do things. So when you buy the next calendar or you look on your phone with the calendar, just think about all these numbers. Someone had to sit there and figure this stuff out. I'm glad they did, so I don't have to do it. But as you saw, there's a lot of different leap year postcards out there. Early ones are mostly out there as the 1909, 1900s, early 1900s. I've seen a lot. But we always ask the question as resellers, do they sell? Little chart here, red, if the sell-through rate is 0 to 3%, just, you're going to get those, you're going to pick them up, think they're cool cards, and the sell-through rate just doesn't do well. It could be because of pricing, it could be because of a lot of things, but this is just looking at a 90-day shot, what's moving through eBay. I work in the 4 to 10% sell-through rate. Average to high is what I look for. Anything that falls in there is, I'll pretty well sell $4 to $8, they're average cards. But then while I'm looking for those, I usually find 11% plus. I figured that's a good line in the sand, and we'll sell those. Wiki Wacky Mermaids, different things like that. So as we go through this, reference this chart a little bit. So the sell-through rate, how I calculate is sold divided by listed times 100 equals the sell-through rate percent. I'm not worried about getting to the last little card. 0.9%, it's not going to make a difference. I just want to know where it falls in this chart. Is it something I should pick up? It's kind of like weather forecasting. Is it going to rain or not rain? What's the probability? Well, this is kind of a probability chart. It kind of says if it's 9%, the probability of it selling over the average and low is better. So is it going to rain today? The probability could be here. A lot of variables, wind and stuff like that, and weather, and then same with postcard. It just gives you something to look at, something you can kind of use to gauge on things. So I put postcard leap year. Is all I put in the search thing. Got 289 sold with 1,000 listed. Yeah, that's a nice. Whenever I see even numbers, I go back and do it multiple times because a coincidence like that doesn't happen that often. But 1,000 came up. Times it by 100 gives you a 29% sell-through rate. I round up or down to the nearest whole percent because people ain't going to remember 29.2. It doesn't make a difference. So 29% of the cards that in 90 days that were out there sold. That's in the high. That's pretty good. But we need to go back and see if that calculation is what's really happening with the other holidays. Is this a better holiday? So I went out there and I bumped against 3 other things. So you got the leap year at 29%, but I put July 4th, a patriotic day, 11%. A little far away from that 29%. Labor Day, 9. And I just put calendar in there because leap year kind of goes calendar. I just wanted to see what people are talking about. Calendar, 7%. So 29% is kind of an outlier. So you want to keep that in your mind. Is it really 29%? It doesn't really matter. It's going to be in the high green. So it's a card I pick up. For a good price, I'm going to pick them up. There's no question. I'm picking leap year cards up because it's in the top high or very high is where I feel it. So I'm done with sell-through rate. I know this is a card that I'll pick up. That's all there is to it. Don't get way down in semantics trying to get the last little card and all this other stuff. This fell in the very high, 29%. Even if it's high, it's a card I'm still going to pick up. Job done. Then you get into pricing. I didn't see a lot of these again. I'm getting into cards where I'm not seeing a lot of extreme pricing, so I just went from the high to the low across a certain amount of time. That's how I sorted it. And we're going to take a look at that and just see what some of these sold for and what some of the bottom things are. Like this one. I've seen a lot of these out there. It's got the date on there. It's a leap year. And it says leap year up in the corner shield there in the top left. $51 they got for that. And that sold in 2022. So what's the number today? So that's not a bad card. If you see those on there, you know you're going to get $15, $20 or $30 maybe around there. Then you get into the rare cards. Well, the rare is hard to find. Vintage unsent postcard. It's not posted. You can put an item specifics. Just put postcard leap year and then what's going on with the subject. It looks like a scarecrow in there and it says leap year right on it. $36 in 2020. And if you notice, that one was taken with a camera. It looks like it wasn't a scan and it still sold. Then you got 4 postcards, leap year, Pretty Women, signed. $25 for 4 postcards. So $5 a piece. We went from $50 to $36 down to $5 a piece in 2023. Leap year greetings postcard. Leap year. It's just keyword stuff. $22.50 in 2013. Basically what they sold those 4 cards for, that card sold for itself. So by lotting these up there, I think they lost some money on there. Because you're getting $15 to $20 for some of these cards, and they lotted them up for, and they only got $25, $5 card. So I think sometimes you gotta see what you want on the lots. Then here's another lot, antique postcards, leap year, serious. They look like humor cards, $22. So another $5 per card because they lotted them up in 2023. Might be the same person. Maybe they wanted some quick moves and stuff like that. You never know. But it looks like the cards singly are selling better. I don't know how long they sat in their lot do it, but it went through. And then here's another leap year one with a lady standing there, and it says leap year on it, $18 in 2019. And then leap year, no wedding bells for me, $7.75, and that sold in 2023. Still over to $5 a card. And then antique postcard leap year, you will accept this, $7.65. And then this US postcard leap year, $7.60. So you go from $51 to $7. The lots I don't think is something I would do with these. I would still sell them singly, and I think I would be higher than the $7 here. I think I would go up a little higher and see what they do. You can always bring them down on there, but that's the range that I saw with the pricing these. So definitely the sell-through rate says pick them up. The pricing says over average cost, pick them up. There's no reason not to unless the price they're selling them to you is out of your margin. So if I see these cards for 75 cents at an antique mall, definitely I'm going to pick them up. If I see them probably for $1, I'll probably pick them up. If I get them, I'll see a lot in a box and there's a whole section of leap year, that's going to pay for what I buy that day. That's what this can do. And then when you get them home, you see how you did. It's a little bit of gambling sometimes, but you see how you did, and you know you can get $7 to $10 basically out of these cards, as long as you don't lot them up here, because that's the data that drives me, sell-through rate and pricing. And we're going to get into the comping, how to use these numbers, the pros and cons of those here in a second. But that's leap year. Do you guys sell a lot of leap year? You know, I got that nice little stack of them from an auction, paid up on them, probably 60 cents a card, 50 cents a card, and I've sold some, got my money back, but they're just not pushing like I thought they would on there. And maybe my price is a little off, I'll have to go check. But I kind of stick with my normal stuff on there, and I'm sure I went through this process with those. Leap year. Who knew? Unlock the secrets of your treasures with Worth Point Price Guide. In seconds, discover the value of your collectibles, postcards, antiques, and unique finds. With their comprehensive database, you'll never wonder about the worth of your items again. From vintage comics to rare jewelry, they got you covered. Don't let uncertainty hold you back. Empower yourself with WorthPoint and make informed decisions. Start exploring today and uncover the hidden gems in your collection. To see more information and sign up for a free trial, follow the link in the video description below. Now, instead of a poll or something like that today, a lot of people, and you're going to see in the viewer comment, a lot of people will send me a picture of a postcard. How much is this card? Well, I'm going to do the same thing that you do. I'm going to go out to eBay. I'm going to go out to Google Image. I'm going to go out to WorthPoint. I'm going to look in Terapeak. I don't do the roadshow, antique roadshow for postcards, because if you say, how much is this card, and I tell you it's a $5 to $6 card, but in your mind you think this card is a $15 card, you're still going to go out and not believe me. And that's what I found. People are just going to go out and find that number. They're going to sit for hours looking through eBay until they find the number they want. They're going to prove it to themselves and stuff like that. So if someone asks me, what do you think of this card? I'll say, well, this is the New York World's Fair. There's a lot of them out there. It's a $5, $6 card to start off with. It's an average card on there. This card here is the same thing. It's the World's Fair. That's a chrome card, so that brings it down a little bit. It's just, those are just kind of average cards. You might get an extra $1 out of them, but you need to go out and do the homework on them if you think there's something special. I'm not going to do that for you, and that's what I tell people. You need to go out and learn how to do this. And a lot of people get caught up spending so much time trying to find that last 50 cents, that last quarter for a card. If you spend 10 minutes on an average card, you've lost money, because your time is worth something. When people say, well, it's just my time, you could be doing other things and stuff. That's how you got to think in business, productivity. So I went out there and I put together comping postcards pros, comping postcards cons. And we're going to talk about each one of these, and I'll give you my opinions on them. But basically, comping, or the real term for it is using comparative market analysis, CMA. So comping is just an abbreviation of comparative market analysis. So when you go out there, a real estate agent, you want to sell your home and you say it's worth $500,000, $500,000. The realtors come in and is going to look at the comps around the area of the same type of house, close to it, what's sold, and they're going to come back and say it's only $250,000. Well, you're going to not use that realtor. You're going to go out and get another realtor. That realtor is going to do the same thing. It's going to look in the comps, and it's going to come back and say it's $250,000. You're going to get another realtor. You're going to keep getting that until you finally get a realtor that tells you what you want. You can't do that. You got to go by data and stuff. And because realtors are not going to list your house for $500,000, because they're just going to waste their time, because it's never going to sell in that area. Not saying it's just going to be $250,000. They might list it for $325,000, $300,000, but they're not going to waste your time. And that's what you're doing, basically, if you're trying to get every little dollar out of things, or you think it's worth more than what they're saying. So the comparative market analysis, or comping, to determine the selling price of items is a common practice in both real estate and retail. We do it all the time in reselling. Here are some pros and cons of comping items to sell. The first pro is accurate pricing. By comparing similar items, you can set a competitive price that reflects the current market value, increasing the likelihood of a sale. So accurate pricing of a comparative item that's sold will help you gauge where you want to be. That's a pro of doing there, because you really don't know sometimes what something's worth. Another one is market insight as a pro. Comping helps you understand market trends and consumer preferences, which can guide your inventory and pricing strategies. You got to have a strategy. How do you do this on there in your inventory? So market insight is another one. Then pro, sales strategy. Knowing the price range of similar items can help you position your product effectively, whether you're aiming for a higher price point or a quick sale. So some people will go out there and get, say, this thing here, and they know it's selling for $60, but they want a quick sale. They'll throw it up for $40. Heck yeah. But if you go too low, people are going to say, well, what's wrong with it? If you go too high, well, I just found something cheaper. You got to find that common ground, but you also don't want to give your stuff away. So you got to find that margin. Where do you want to be? Then another pro is customer trust. This is important to me. Competitive pricing can build trust with your customers as they feel they're getting a fair deal compared to other similar products. So you're not real low, you're not real high, you provide the product, and you provide a good service. 100% guarantee on everything I sell. If you don't like it, send it back. No questions asked. I don't care. If I sell you a $100 postcard, you get it, and it's just not what you wanted, I will refund you. No questions asked. I'm not worried about that. If I sell a lunchbox and you say it's too rusty, send it back. Here's your label. I will refund you. I love buying things from sites, when I buy things personally, that I know there's a solid refund policy. Like Amazon has a refund policy. When I built the computer, I bought some of the parts from Amazon because I knew if I had a problem with it, I just put a claim in, I'm going to get my money back. There. Now, if I bought it from this other company I was looking at, their return policies was not clear, and their reviews about some of the returns. I said, no, I don't want to deal with that. When I'm going to spend that much money on something, I'm going to make sure it's back. So I always tell customers, if they have questions on postcards, remember, you're 100% covered all the way to the time you get that card. That's building customer trust, and they're going to come back to those sellers. Pro, reduced risk. Setting a price based on market data can reduce the risk of overpricing and underpricing, which can affect your sales and profit margins. Yeah, I've done that. I've just flying through cards. I put up a card. It's an $80 card. I put it up for like $4.75, $5, and some guy just ripped me. I missed it. I was just moving through real fast. So if you're not doing the compings, but then there's some cards, you just don't. A picture of New York. I mean, how many of those are out there? Picture of a water, stuff like that. Are you going to spend the time on those, or are you going to set them to the side and get like the leap year ones? I would go through a comping thing. Mermaids I would do. Different things. So you want to get a market price, but after a while you're going to know what most of these cards are for. And sometimes you're going to miss and sell a card for less. Don't worry about missing out. That little 50 cents you didn't get is no big deal, because you're going to make it up on the average. So that's the 6 pros that I talked about. Accurate pricing it gives you. By using comping and comparative market analysis, it gives you accurate pricing, market insight, sales strategy, customer trust, and reduced risk. But there's some cons to using comps and comparative market analysis. First one is time consuming. If you're not good at it and you're really into semantics and getting down to the last thing, you're going to waste a lot of time. Comping can be time consuming, especially if you need to compare multiple items across different platforms. So in me, I have Terapeak, eBay, WorthPoint. That's where I kind of gauge right there. Then if I need to, I'm not for sure, I'll go into Google Image. Then I'll Google the name, I'll write my title, then I'll put that into Yahoo, Google, whatever that you use, and then it'll bring up Card Cow and these other ones just to see what's out there, just to give me a round picture on these harder to price cards. But I don't do it for every card. It's just time consuming. Set a price, that's what they sell for on your average cards. I found that lets me go a lot quicker, keeps my margin. So every time I sell a $4.75 postcard, I know I'm getting at least my margin that I need to pay my bills, to pay for my store, to pay for my time. I'm not going to go under that unless I send a 10% offer to move some cards. All that's figured in there. The higher price cards I set to the side and do more stuff there, but out of maybe I list 100 cards today, and as I'm going through, I'll find like 5 or 10 maybe not even that I'll set to the side in my special folder, and I'll sit and do the time-consuming stuff. So if you do that, and you're in the research mode, the comping mode, you're going to be more effective, and you're going to get it instead of stopping and starting, spending an hour on one card. That's how I find. If I'm doing the same thing over and over for an hour, I get pretty good at it and done. So time consuming. Another con is data variability. Market data can be very widely, and it can vary widely across a lot of stuff. And relying solely on comps might not always give you the most accurate picture, especially if the items are not directly comparable. It's got to be apples for apples. Most of the postcards you have, except for real photos, are one of a kind. A lot of them are probably already out there. But you got to remember, there's a lot of postcards on eBay, a lot of sellers. Some just got Aunt May's box of postcards and throw them out there, have no idea what to do with them. And they're just pricing all over the place. So you got to throw out some. I throw out the $1.99, 90-cent auctions and stuff like that, and I throw out the real high ones. I look down the average. So that's how I do that. Then the next con is price wars. We've all heard this if you've been reselling. Competitive pricing can lead to price wars with competitors, which can erode profit margins and lead to the race to the bottom. Yes, a lot of people say, well, he's driving the market down. This market is so huge, one person can't drive it down. Just wait it out while they sell their stuff, and then you'll be fine. But racing to the bottom, watching all stuff, there's 9 to 10 million postcards on eBay. Do you think you can comparatively market and price your stuff looking at all that stuff? It's just a losing battle. Price it to what you need first, and then take a look and see what you need. But price wars, don't get caught up in there. Well, he's selling his for $1.99. I'm going to sell it. I got a better price. Why isn't mine selling? It's just the way it works. Maybe they're more trusted. Maybe they got followers. Maybe something with the way they did their title. It could be anything. And to go out there and try to figure all that out is just time consuming. Next con is market fluctuations. Market conditions can change rapidly, and price based on comps might become outdated quickly and requiring frequent adjustments. Postcards, I don't think we have that big of a swing. It's a collectible, so it's kind of steady. We do get a little dip in sales and up like that. It just depends on the variables. But if you're selling other stuff, you're going to be affected by market fluctuations more on there. Another con, over-reliance on comps. Relying too heavily on comps might lead you to overlook other important factors, such as unique features of your item, brand value, and customer service quality. I sell a service along with selling a postcard. 100% free returns, 60-day returns. I pack good, everything. That's a service I provide them. 1-day shipping, and I back everything up. They need to pay for that. Not every seller out there is going to do that. That's a service. So just don't rely on comps. You got to sell yourself your time. You listed it, you bought it, you took the pictures. So touching postcards, I've always said, touch them 4 times. When I buy it, when I scan it, when I list it, when I sell it. 4 times on most of my postcards. Special folder ones, the more real photos and stuff I want to dig down in, I buy it, I scan it, I list it, comp it, do a little research, and then I sell it. So there's one extra step when you get into the more higher price ones. Not every postcard, most aren't above average price. And a lot of people think just because it's 1900, 1903, 1909, it's worth them. There's billions of them out there. Don't just rely on comps. If there's something special, some people like to read the back of postcards. I'm not a back of postcard reader. I can't do everything. But someone might say this was a message to this guy. That could be important. And you dig down there and you get your money for that. I'm not that guy to go look at those. I very rarely read the back of the cards. It just takes more time. So just don't rely on comps. If you got a card that's from 1900, it's in pristine condition, and it's one of those special ones, I would bump it up just a little bit. And then see what it does, or maybe go up a little higher. Those are what you can use. So by weighing these pros and cons, and we talked about the cons, so let's talk about the list of cons again. time consuming, data variability, price wars, market fluctuations, and over-reliance on comps. By weighing these pros and cons, you can make a more informed decision about whether and how to use comping as part of your pricing strategy. They say you make your money when you buy it. That's part of it, but it's also when you sell it. What is your margin? And just going out there and say, well, it's selling for $40, I'll put it up there, I only paid $2 for it. No, that's no big deal. But when you get into some other things, you could spend a lot of time doing that, but don't get into the thing where you think this card is a $50 postcard and you're not going to let anybody tell you any different. The data, me, anybody else to tell you any different. That card's a $50 card because Aunt May had it for 100 years. You got to use data. Data-driven decisions will help you make better decisions and make money. You're not going to lose it. So I wanted to talk a little bit about comparative market analysis, or comping, on there, and what I think of it. What do you think? How do you do comping? What do you think of it? Do you stay at a certain price, or do you follow the trend and chase them down to 99 cents? Or do you just throw everything in auction for 99 cents and just see what sticks? Or how do you do that? Just give a lot of people starting out, or have been doing it a while, or might be looking for a change to do things and stuff like that. That's my little spiel on that. Now we're going to get into comments. Your comments at the end of the videos. I always pick up 3 or 4 or so comments. I get an email. YouTube, if you put it in YouTube as a comment, that's open game. Everybody can see it. If you send it to me an email at contact@SMPostcards.com, I'll treat it a little bit more privately. I'll ask you if I can use parts of it, or maybe I take a snippet out, I'd leave your name out, stuff like that. So if you don't want everybody to see that, just send it to me over there. I'm pretty good about getting back. If I can get back to you, send it again, or just let me know, because I had one the other day said they sent it, but I never saw it. So it could be something with the email systems. But that's one of the things I will always do, is get back to people. I will never get too big to reply to messages. That's maybe, hopefully one day it gets to that point, but I don't care. And when people ask a question, I put myself out there. I want to answer those questions. And so if some bigger YouTube say they got too many messages and they just can't do it, well, they're too spread thin. I think it's a service. I learn just as much from your questions as you send them in. First one is Lisa Liv. Says, I wasted a lot of money for 6 months using a cross-listing app software on 4 platforms. That's from that video. I did a little deep dive in how I think on there. I think it's in the restaurants video about cross-listing apps and how much you can make. So she watched that. It stressed me out to the max. Closed it all down and just sell on eBay. I am so much more focused and make more money now. Such a great topic. Yeah, watch those apps. And watch, just because all these different sites you can be on, you still got to turn your head. You got to learn that site. They update this. They're making a change over here. This is here. It just adds to your day, adds to the complexity, cost. It can get out of control. So just be careful about listing out all these sites just to get that one sale, because a lot of times the returns are not worth the effort. For postcards, and I say it all the time, eBay, no one drives or has the traffic on postcards than eBay. There's 9 to 10 million postcards on eBay, and that, thousands of sellers. So that's where I'm going to be and stuff. So watch that video of the restaurant part. It's in there where the poll would be, or I think I just do it all at the end there. Talk about my analysis on when in 2023, when I closed all my toys, storage units, and just went to postcards part-time. What was my thinking about going down to one site? And that'll walk you through. Maybe it'll spark something to have you change something in your business to make it better, or you're doing fine there. But if it's just a data dump from my head that I wanted to put out there. But watch those cross-listing apps. They're not all made out what they be. It can cause you more work than they're worth. Thanks, Lisa. Then Dan Sweeps says, 4 ships of the United States Navy have been named Ajax. after Ajax, a Greek hero during the Trojan War. So I brought up a sold card, and it was Ajax. I remember the cleaner Ajax when I was young. There was a little can of cleaner, like powder, my mom would use, and it said Ajax on there. And he said there was 4 ships named Ajax. So that's when you got to be careful of these ships. All these different names, they reuse some of them. But it's a Greek god of Trojan War. A Greek hero from the Trojan War, Ajax. That'd be a cool nickname, Ajax. I think if I get a dog or something again, I'll call him Ajax. Thanks, Dan. Then, Quentin Carroll, do you have your unlisted inventory in sleeves? What item info do you have in the barcode? So, yes, let me find one here. So, only my listed inventory is put in sleeves. All the other postcards I get in lots, I don't sleeve them until I list them. And the reason I sleeve them is because I use the SKU number method. There's 2 methods to do inventory. The first one is get dividers. Divider 1, I usually show it with these things here. My fingers work. So you get a divider. You put them in the box. Divider 1, divider 2. In the middle here, you put about 20 to 50 cards. Don't put 500 cards in the middle, because every time you sell a card in between this divider, you got to look through 500 cards. I'd rather look through 20 cards or 30 cards than 50 or 100 cards. But label this one 1, this is 2, and stick all the cards that you list that day are using in, and label it number 1. Then you create another divider and you make it number 2, and when you list, you put it there. So when you in the custom label field in eBay, you put 1 for the card that's in here, and you put 2 for the cards that are over here. So when you sell the card, you look at the custom label and you see it's 1, you just need to look through these cards. Another way, it just depends how you do it. There's really no right or wrong. But those are one way to do it. Then the second way that I've seen that I recommend as well is I use a SKU number. It's just the way I started. I could use the other way, but I'm to a point, you get to a point where you're not going to change. Because every time you touch a card in your inventory, you have a chance of making a mistake. Once a card goes in those boxes, I don't move them. I'll tighten up the boxes every quarter or whatever, because they get loose, and I'll move them toward box 1. But I will not go in there and re-inventory and do stuff and mess with them, because that's just, anytime you put a human involved, you're going to mess it up. But what I do is when I list a card, I have these labels, and I have them in the Ko-Fi store too. They're 1 inch by 1 inch, and I can print out the numbers for you, starting whatever number you want. It's in the Ko-Fi. It's this little thing here, but I stick it on the sleeve. You don't want to stick these labels on a postcard, because you're going to pull color off, because a lot of stuff's going to sit for a while. So I put it in a sleeve, stick a label on there, put the number in the custom label field. So when this card sells, when a card sells and the SKU number is 80747, I just go, they're all in numerical order, just go find 80747 and I pull it out. I do not reuse my SKU numbers. That's another reason to cause errors, is people say, I'm going to reuse this SKU number. I just keep moving forward. You're not going to run out of numbers. So I just keep moving forward. My oldest card is up in box number 1 with a SKU maybe 2,000. My oldest one maybe down here is 86,000. Whatever numbers I use on there. So I don't reuse SKU numbers. So I don't. So in there. And what do you have in a barcode? It's not a barcode, it's just a number. The Dymo allows me to put a starting number in and how many I want. So if I put 100 in there and I want 50, it's going to go 101 to 150 and print those numbers on these little 1 inch labels for me and stuff like that. So there's not a barcode. So that's how I do inventory. I hope that helps. I get that question a lot, so that's why I left this in here. And thanks, Quentin, for asking questions. If you got any other questions about stuff, let me know. I want to learn stuff, but I'm to a point now, my inventory is not really going to change, because I'm not going to touch 50,000 cards. I'm going to screw it up, just knowing me. Thanks again. And the revolution will not be YouTubed. The revolution will not be YouTube. I need help. Anywhere in New Jersey that I can get cards appraised. I found a shoebox full of 100-plus-year-old cards in the back of a file cabinet that someone threw out like 15 years ago, and I just held on to them. I am a broke millennial and could use the money to pay some bills. Don't spend the money to have someone praise your stuff. Get the cards, go out to eBay, Terapeak, WorthPoint, Google image, Google it. That's basically what they're going to do as well. And I wouldn't spend the money to have someone appraise your cards. Plus, just because they're 100-year-old doesn't. Everything postcards back then. There's billions of them back then with postcards. So you're not gonna make any money if you spend it on an appraiser. If you brought me a box and said, "Can you appraise these postcards?" I would say no. I'm not gonna spend the time to go through a whole box of postcards and put a price on each one. That would just take too long. I would just tell you, go to eBay, WorthPoint, or Terapeak, and just put it in there. Or you can take a picture of them, put them in Google Image, and it'll tell you. And how to use Google Image, just go to Google and type image, and it's going to say Google Image. You can take a scan or a picture of your card and just crop it in there, and it's going to go out and it's going to find that picture out there, and it'll give you a good idea of what it is and stuff. But remember, you still got to list them, you still got to sell them, you got to buy the supplies and stuff like that. Is it better just to take this box, do a quick comp through the box, if you don't sell postcards all the time, and just sell the box on eBay as a whole? Put it in an auction, put $100 on it or whatever, count how many cards are in there, and just go from there. That's what I tell people that don't do postcards all the time, because to get set up to do postcards, you need more than just one box. Because I would probably say, out of statistically saying, you have some money there, but I bet you out of just the chances of having those $100 cards in there, unless it's full of real photos, but normally it's just those are average cards is what I put on there. You might have some couple good ones in there, but most of them are probably average. So thanks, Revolution. Again, leap year, those weird holidays. If you see those cards, I just wouldn't pass them up, but I'm not going to pay top dollar on them because they're going to sit. But the sell-through rate is up there, pricing is up there. There's no reason not to pick up leap year cards and put them in your inventory. What I found when I bought the good stack from that auction, they're not fast sellers. But when they do sell, I get the money I put on them out of them. So a little long tail, but I wouldn't pass up leap year cards. Again, check your comping, pros and cons. Just rewind this and go through, and just don't spend a lot of time on average cards. Spend it on the ones you think are worth it. Set them to the side and do them all at once is a tip. That's what I do. I got some stuff here. I got this little thing. It's in a sealed envelope. I just set it to the side. I don't go out and run down the rabbit hole. There might be something in here. I haven't opened it up, but when I find these in postcard boxes, I set them to the side. I got a bullfighter right here. I need to look at that one. This one, Goodfellow Air Force Base. I might get an extra couple dollars out of that. Shepherd Air Force Base. And then I got a bunch of older arcade cards that I can do Google Image on real quick and stuff. Those are in my, this is my to research pile right now, is what it is over here. That's what I call special folder. I move the card scan and everything to a special folder in order, and then one day I'll sit down and I'll do maybe this many researching, and then I'll do the next ones. There's some money sitting here, but I just need to know what it is, but I'm not going to spend a lot of time. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next one. There's some more fish. Bye.